In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Samsung has been subtly linked to widespread social degrading practices and violations of human rights. Artisanal cobalt mines, or ASM, are reported to exploit child labor and place workers in dangerous circumstances, according to reports from various studies. Keep watching this video to find out the dark truth about Samsung's employees. Exploiting a female majority workforce. Global news outlets have been gushing about Samsung's stylish new Galaxy S and S9 Plus smartphones, but despite all the praise for the cutting-edge technology and glitzy features of these gadgets, the lives of the primarily female workers who produce them have largely gone unnoticed. For instance, few consumers or journalists are aware that a workforce predominantly made of women in their 20s manufactures half of all Samsung phones in Vietnam. By conducting in-depth, confidential, and open-ended interviews with 45 women who work on the assembly lines at two Samsung factories in Vietnam, our organizations were able to uncover this hidden story. We discovered something shocking: health and safety violations. All of the employees we spoke with said they occasionally felt lightheaded or fainted at work. High noise levels went beyond what was allowed. They complained of pain in their legs, joints, and bones after spending 70 to 80 hours a week standing at work. No employee we spoke to had a copy of her employment contract, a violation of Vietnamese labor law. The most concerning data included claims that miscarriage is very normal. As one employee put it, if they're young, it's very normal. If they're expecting, the first trimester is very challenging because they frequently miscarry. This isn't the first instance where there's been evidence linking the electronics industry to reproductive harm. A peer-reviewed scientific study conducted in South Korea, the home of Samsung, found that among female microelectronics workers between the ages of 20 and 39, high rates of spontaneous abortion and menstrual aberration were present. Over 300 cases of severe, frequently fatal occupational illnesses have been reported by the advocacy group Support for the Health and Rights of People in the Semiconductor Industry among electronic workers in South Korea, many of whom work in Samsung factories. Manufacturers continue to deny responsibility and refuse to disclose the chemicals they use, despite numerous South Korean court and government rulings that link factory conditions to leukemia, lymphomas, brain tumors, multiple sclerosis, infertility, and other severe health issues in young female workers. Lee Byung-chul's ascent to throne. Samsung Sangho, a modest trading business established by Lee Byung-chul in 1938 and specializing primarily in dried seafood, produce, and its own noodles, existed before Samsung Electronics. Its main business, in a sense, was moving those foodstuffs around the area. The economy was booming, so Lee established Samsung Mulsan, now known as Samsung Corporation, in 1948. However, the success was ultimately fleeting. Lee was forced to leave his holdings in Seoul when the city was invaded and occupied by the republic's communist neighbors to the north after assiduously developing Samsung Mulsan. He also went bankrupt. The tale of Samsung Mulsan almost came to an end there, but Lee continued on to Busan in order to make up for his losses and save the company. Lee was able to turn the profits from the fledgling trading corporation into a few well-known subsidiaries within a few years, thanks to how well the war economy treated it. Most of Lee Byung-chul's 6 daughters and 4 sons would go on to hold important positions within the carefully nurtured chaebol in the years to come while he sat on the throne. However, none would be as well known as Lee's youngest son Kun-hee, who joined the chaebol in 1968 after receiving his MBA from George Washington University and studying economics at Japan's esteemed Waseda University. Samsung Electronics, a subsidiary that would eventually grow to become perhaps the most powerful electronics brand in the world, was established in 1969. However, that's still quite a ways off, as most of its initial offerings were modest home appliances. Monitoring Samsung companies running within the United States. Samsung launched a Goliath campaign in Vietnam to discredit the information provided by its own employees, including threatening to fire employees, sue them for speaking to outsiders, and threaten our researchers with legal action. Thankfully, Samsung was unable to censor our report and the female workers' testimonies. our investigation peels back the shrink wrap of big tech to reveal an extremely vulnerable, mostly female workforce that may be sacrificing its neurological and reproductive health in digitized Dickensian workshops to make cutting-edge smartphones, writes labor journalist Michelle Chen in The Nation. We hope that consumers in the United States and Europe, the two biggest markets for Samsung phones, will pay attention to the warnings to the 300 former South Korean electronics workers and the 45 female Samsung Vietnam factory whistleblowers. In addition to being heard, their opinions should be taken into consideration if we want a sustainable electronics industry. The human right to a safe and healthy workplace applies to all employees. Chemical policies that guarantee environmental health and safety precautions that are safe for the workforce in the electronics industry and the local communities are necessary. It's time to clean up Samsung for the sake of the future of Vietnamese women, South Korean women, and Samsung employees everywhere. In conclusion, despite everything, Samsung Electronics and indirectly the Samsung Group have expanded to truly enormous sizes. Samsung Electronics' ascent to the top of the consumer electronics sector is one that's based on almost as many dubious practices as good ones, even though it required a few quick kicks in the proverbial pants along the way. Massive production capacity, a focus on efficiency and speed, a small amount of moderate craziness among its executives, and a readiness to use its incredible weight all helped Samsung dominate almost every industry it's involved in. When you reach the height Samsung has, using your brawn wisely is crucial, and this is especially true for Samsung. Once you succeed, people start to hunt you down. Being ruthless and being effective can be difficult to balance, but Samsung appears to have mastered it.